Hello, everyone. Welcome to Voices of the Industry, an interview series where we get to know some of the most interesting and thought-provoking leaders in Connecticut's insurance marketplace. Voices of the Industry is a collaboration between the Connecticut CPCU Society chapter and the Center for Career Development at the University of Connecticut. My name is Zach McInnes, and I'm the Assistant Director of Corporate Partner Relations here in the Center for Career Development, and I'll be facilitating our conversation today. Today, we're talking with Dominic Marullo, Director of Business Process Effectiveness at Travelers. I'm excited to get to know Dominic and to pick his brain about his career journey and his perspective on what makes the insurance industry in Connecticut such a dynamic space. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, Dominic, first question. What is your full name, your current job title, and how long have you been working in the insurance industry?
Thanks for having me, Zach. Also, thank you for starting with an easy question. So my name is Dominic Marullo, as you mentioned. I am a director on the business process effectiveness team at Travelers, and I've been in the insurance industry for over 20 years at this point.
20 years, wow, thank you. Did you go to college, Dominic? And if so, what did you study and where did you go?
I did. I went to Boston University and I graduated with a degree in history.
Excellent. So it just kind of goes to show that there's no one major that students can pursue that leads to a career in insurance. So very interesting.
Correct.
How did you end up working in the insurance industry and at Travelers?
So for the insurance industry, I sort of fell into it like many of us do. I graduated with the degree in history and I was wondering what I was going to do next. So I was looking at various jobs and I came across a job receptionist at an insurance agency. And by the time I applied for it, the job had already been filled, but the agency owner held on to my resume. And when they had an opening for an account manager, he called me and interviewed me. I ended up starting in the insurance industry on the agency side as an account manager. And that's really how I learned insurance. And to your point about the paths into insurance, I eventually left the agency side, joined the carrier side, so working for an insurance company to get into underwriting, which is really the analysis of risk. So thinking back to my history degree at Boston University, I would analyze primary and secondary sources and build an argument. So in underwriting, it's similar in a way because you're analyzing a lot of primary and secondary sources and you're building an opinion that goes into your underwriting file. So it all kind of relates to itself.
Beautifully put. Thank you for that. How interesting. And so tell us a bit more about your current position at Travelers and any past jobs you've had in the industry. What does a typical day for you look like? What do you do every day, Dominic?
Yeah, so at a high level, my team is responsible for the workflow for the field underwriting organization and really implementing improvements in that workflow. And most of the improvements that come through from a process standpoint come from the field. They identify a problem within the workflow and the work they do, and ideally, they also come up with the solution, and my team really facilitates the implementation of those solutions across the field underwriting organization. My background, I mentioned I started on the agency side, went into underwriting, commercial underwriting, which is underwriting businesses. And I was in the middle market space primarily, so larger businesses. That is my background, and that's why I was positioned to take my current role at Travelers on the business process effectiveness team.
Excellent. And what do you enjoy about your job? What motivates you to wake up in the morning?
Yeah, so there are a couple things. First of all, it's really the people that I work with. throughout my career, I've built a lot of meaningful relationships and really lifelong friendships. And I'm not kidding when I say we laugh together, we cry together, we're like families, we have group texts. That's really how it is. And it truly is a relationship industry. So I really value all the relationships that I've built, and I wake up in the morning looking forward to working with these people every single day. And then the other thing that really motivates me is the business of insurance is really the business of helping people. So every policy is really geared toward avoiding financial disaster for a person or a business. And, what could be better than that? So those are really my two motivators.
Beautifully put. Thank you for that. Yeah, the business of insurance is about helping people. I love that. So I believe you've touched on this already, but what do you enjoy about the insurance industry?
Yeah, so this is kind of a detailed answer. So I really love insurance products, and it might sound kind of boring to sit down and read an insurance policy, but I love doing that. They're really neat when you go through them and realize how much coverage is in there. And even, for example, some of the exclusions have exceptions that grant even more coverage. And a lot of the exclusions on an insurance policy are one of two things. The first one is something that's just not insurable, like war, for example. You can't really insure war. But the other things that are excluded are typically something that's better covered somewhere else. So for example, you're not going to find coverage for workers' compensation on a general liability policy because there are workers' compensation policies. So when you kind of put all the products together for a customer, it's almost like an orchestra. They all come together and create the full scope of coverage needed for that customer. So the products are something that I really love about the insurance industry.
That's a great answer. It's like an orchestra. I have to write that one down. Next question is, what designations and/or certifications do you hold? What was the journey like to obtain them, and how have they helped you in your career?
Yeah, so I wrote them down so I'd have them handy. So I am a CPCU. I am an associate in insurance services, an associate in commercial underwriting management, an associate in general insurance, an accredited advisor in insurance, an associate in claims, and a senior professional public adjuster. And I started in CPCU when one of the local leaders in the CPCU organization came to Travelers along with a couple of people from Travelers who are already CPCUs and presented to us, all the benefits of becoming a CPCU and what the educational journey looks like and how the journey continues even after you get the CPCU designation. So that really inspired me to start the process. And of course, I jumped right in with what's known as one of the most difficult courses first, and it was called Finance and Accounting. And I will admit, finance and accounting is not my strong suit. It's not my biggest area of interest. I will never be an actuary for that reason. But I passed the course, and then I kind of got addicted to it, and I just wanted to complete CPCU. I enjoyed courses. I enjoyed going through all the materials and passing the exams. And once that was done, I gravitated toward other designations that were more in the areas that I worked in. So associate in insurance services, for example, is all about process optimization. And that's what I currently do. Associate in commercial underwriting management, that was my background prior to this role. But then I wanted to explore things that I had never done before. So that's why you heard me say things like associate in claims. I've never been in a claims organization, but it interested me to learn about the claims organization. And I'd say through my career, getting these designations has helped me really understand other areas, which I'm and with which I'm pretty unfamiliar. So when it comes to reinsurance, I work with a reinsurance partner in my current role. The knowledge I gained through getting those designations helped me understand their business without having to ask them a lot of questions about what is reinsurance and how do you work with your customers, because reinsurance is a lot different than the commercial insurance that I was used to. So the designations give you that little edge that really helps you understand more broadly than maybe your current scope and your current role.
Fascinating. Thank you.
Sure.
Do you have any funny or interesting stories that you'd like to share with us that have occurred during your career?
Yeah, so I was thinking about this, and most of the funny stories would be kind of you had to be there and also know insurance to understand them. So I went with something that I thought was interesting. So I mentioned for many years that I was a commercial underwriter, and in that role, you typically meet with your agents and brokers on a regular basis, again, building that relationship. And during the late 2000s, my company at the time had tickets to the Red Sox, season tickets to the Red Sox. So I think I saw 8 or 9 games that season, and that was back when Fenway was sold out for every single game. So it was pretty neat. And coincidentally, a lot of the games were really exciting ones. So I saw a walk-off win. I saw a bench clearing brawl. I saw an absolute blowout for one of the games. So, I mean, it was really interesting and exciting to see all those games, all while doing my job. So that's something people probably don't associate with the insurance industry, but definitely a great opportunity and experience that I had.
Love that. Who doesn't love a Red Sox game? Why should college
Yankees
students
fans.
Go ahead, Dominic.
I said Yankees fans might not like a Red Sox
That's true.
unless the Yankees are winning.
Why should college students consider a career in insurance?
Yeah, so you actually touched on this a little bit when you talked about history major, and you ended up in insurance. And so people typically think about insurance company, maybe the ads they see on TV, which is just a small part of it. And you think of an insurance company, you think of the traditional roles of underwriting and claims and actuarial and maybe risk control if you know a little bit about the insurance companies. But there are a lot of other roles in an insurance company. So you have marketing, communications, process where I am, digital roles. You even have industrial hygiene labs at points. So, if you're a biology major, go work in an industrial hygiene lab and experience that. And the great thing about the insurance industry is, you could be a communications major. You could come into an insurance company as a communications specialist and realize you want to do something else. And there are thousands of opportunities to do that something else in insurance. It's a lot broader in scope than the insurance itself. There are just so many opportunities and so many things to do there.
Awesome. Thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us today?
Yes. So I thought about, what kind of personality that I've seen, in my opinion, as most successful in insurance. So if this describes you, I think it's a good opportunity to get into insurance. So first of all, you have to have a good sense of humor. You have to make it fun and enjoy working with people. Obviously, it can be intense and serious, but always having a good sense of humor helps the situation. People that can build good relationships with others, obviously, but also someone who is very organized, and also a tiny bit OCD and a little quirky. So if you have all those things, you're probably a pretty good fit for the insurance industry.
That's such great advice. Thank you for that. Wow. Well, Dominic, I sure learned a lot today. Thank you for this conversation, and thank you to everyone for tuning in. Until next time, this is Voices of the Industry.